DC has announced 10 new projects, 5 movies, and 5 TV shows. Wow. So the first chapter or phase is going to be called Gods and Monsters. The first project we get here is Creatures Commandos. It's an animated series, and Gunn wrote the whole thing. He wrote all the episodes. They're planning to have some of the voice actors for the animated series in this new reboot also be the same actors for the live. That way they can jump back and forth. And the real goal of this is to tell these gigantic stories without spending, $50 million an episode or making these whole movies and projects, which I think is genius. This is a great direction to move. Next up, we got Waller, starring Viola Davis as Amanda Waller. She teams up with members of Team Peacemaker. Season 2 of Peacemaker has been officially put on hold, and instead the Team Peacemaker whole cast and crew will appear alongside Davis as a continuation of that show in Waller. The first big movie project we get is Superman Legacy, and we got an actual release date, July 11, 2025, and it focuses on Superman balancing his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing. Classic starter Superman movie. And James Gunn is writing this project, as we know, and Peter Safran said he hopes that James Gunn can be persuaded maybe to direct it as well, which I think, you gotta have him direct this, right? Like, it's your first big thing, he has to. Number 4, we got Lanterns. So there's going to be a TV show surrounded around the Green Lanterns. It's Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. And it's going to be like a true detective type of show, they were saying, with Green Lanterns who are sort of like space cops watching over the precinct Earth. They investigate a mystery that Peter Safran says plays a really big role leading us into the main overall DC story that they're telling across film and television. And they were saying that they think this is the most important show, or at least that very important show to kind of get us off into the new direction. Number 5, The Authority. So Superman Legacy will lead directly into The Authority. This is an ensemble movie about superhumans who have a less than ideal approach to saving the world. The characters come from Wildstorm, which is actually launched in 1992 as an independent entity under the DC Comics name, but this is sort of like a Suicide Squad type of group, that group that will get their hands dirty, get bloody, get messy. So that is going to be a very interesting approach. Not jumping directly into Justice League quite yet, which I kind of like. Number 6, we got Paradise Lost, which is a television series based on Paradise Island. It's going to be like Game of Thrones mixed with Westeros. It's set on the island of Themyscira before the birth of Diana, Wonder Woman. And this story is really about the political intrigue behind society of all women. So, how do they get there? How did that happen? How they got their powers? All that kind of thing. I think this is going to be that girl boss movie that Captain Marvel was supposed to be like. And I'm excited for this. And I like this approach. As I said again, we're not going directly into Wonder Woman and some of these other characters. We're giving it a little time to allow these worlds to grow. And then when they get to that phase 2, that's probably when we'll get some more of that bigger punch. And then also give us a break, right? Like we just had Wonder Woman and some of these other characters, so it gives us a little bit of a break. Number 6, we have The Brave and the Bold. Now I'm very excited about this. So The Brave and the Bold will introduce the Bat family. And the first among the Bat family is Robin. We're getting Robin! This version of Robin is Damian Wayne, who Gunn describes as a son of a gun. Use another word, but I'm gonna say son of a gun. Assassin and a murderer. And Damian is Bruce's biological son, a fact that's unknown to Bruce for the first 8 to 10 years of his life. So that'll be really cool to see how that turns out as well. One thing I've said about DC versus Marvel for some time is DC has sidekicks. Marvel doesn't really have sidekicks. So, this is something that they can definitely use towards their advantage. Think about it. If you have a younger cousin, younger brother, like they can't see themselves as Batman necessarily because that's an adult, but they can see themselves as some of these side heroes, Robin. So this would be very cool for them, and also just give us a new, fresh take. We haven't had Robin and Batman or these sidekicks in some time other than those TV series. So on this grand film scale, I think this is going to be probably one of the most anticipated projects in this entire slate. Number 7, we have Booster Gold. This is a TV series. So he's a loser from the future who uses future technology to come back to present day and uses that future technology to become a superhero. This series is where DC is going to be really allowed to have a comedy take, I think. It's sort of like a Peacemaker style, right? Like, you know, a lot of these films and television shows coming up are going to be a lot more dramatic. Obviously, you have comedy because you always have comedy in superheroes, right? But I think this will be able to actually lean into that. So in the 25th century, Mike is a disgraced former football star who uses a time machine on display at Metropolis Space Museum, and he uses that to come back to present day. Number 9, we got Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Woman of Tomorrow features Superman's cousin, Kara Zor-El, who James Gunn sort of explains it as a different type of Supergirl. He used the words big sci-fi epic film, so this is going to be sort of, in my opinion, one of those like Guardian scale type movies. We see the difference between Superman, who was sent to Earth, raised by loving parents from time to time. You know, he was an infant when he arrived, versus Supergirl, who was raised on a rock chip off of Krypton and watched everyone around her die and be killed, and terrible things happen for the first 14 years of her life. So really how trauma and your upbringing really shapes the path that you take. And this will be really cool to see too, because he says that this is going to be a much more hardcore film and also features Crypto Dog. We haven't really gotten Crypto Dog, so that'll be cool to see how that whole thing turns out. I think a lot of people weren't really sure with Rocket, right, with the Guardians. I think they can figure it out with Crypto. And last, number 10, we have Swamp Thing. This is a very dark horror story. It's outside of the DCU, but will still link with the world, so it shouldn't feel completely disconnected. Gunn says the big thing he wants is just all of these stories in general to be unique. Storytelling is king. He says storytelling is the most important part, not animation, not graphics, not A-list actors, it's storytelling. And I think what he means by that is, you know, with Guardians, with Black Panther, with Iron Man, they sort of have their own identity, right? Like if another film tried to copy what Black Panther did, you would instantly know, oh, they're sort of doing the Black Panther recipe, right? And that's what he wants to do with all these projects, is have their own sort of style, unique feel. He wants to really give the directors that carte blanche, that freedom, right? And I think because he's a director, he definitely understands the importance of that. So he's probably gonna be a little bit hands-off, but sort of puppeteering a little bit at the top. But he really wants them to bring that, you know, Sam Raimi type feel where you're like, okay, that is this person's project, that's their feel, that's their baby. And that's what you need. DC needs that. Honestly, Marvel needs that, right? We've seen so many of these Marvel films be copy, paste, and you're gonna get some of these genre pieces that are real specific to these interesting, different characters. But that's gonna do it for this video. That is the slate. I'm very excited. Comment down below which of these projects are you most excited for. I can't believe we finally got this news. This is insane. I imagine over the next 8 to 9 months, we'll start to hear some news about rumors about actors and different things like that. That takes a while, that whole process. But yeah, make sure you guys subscribe, comment, and as we always say here, just be you. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.